Yes. Am I audible?
Yes, you
Yes,
are.
you're audible.
Okay. Okay, now start last block and last session of this MRD 004. My voice is echoed or not? Can you please tell me? Am I audible?
Yes,
Okay, okay. So in we deal with nature of various tools in the collection of data, and all data are expressed in quantified term, and quantitative data is not available in certain cases, and in such situation the researcher has to be not available in the certain cases. So researcher has to consider the phenomena as whole without breaking it down into measurable quantified component. So this something, wait a minute. Okay, welcome to this session, and now I'm going to show my another slides for this block. This is block 4. Okay, is it visible?
yes, it is.
So this block have 4 units: data processing analysis, descriptive analysis, inferential statistic, and reporting research. Out of 4, the fourth unit is very important unit, and unit 1 is data processing analysis, which we have quantitative and qualitative processing of processing and data analysis of quantitative data, coding of data, preparing a master chart. So now come to the data processing or data analysis. What is data analysis? So it is very important part of research, as weak analysis will produce an inaccurate report, will cause the finding to be faulty. So finding patterns, connections, relationship from your data can be daunting task, but with right analysis method and tools in place, so you can run through the chunk of data. You have to come up with information regarding it. So there are so many different type of data analysis methods are available, and you will learn about the quantitative data analysis, and you will obtain a comprehensive understanding of data quantitative analysis. So this analysis can be explained as the processing of discovering useful information by evaluating, whereas quantitative data analysis, it can define as the process of analyzing data that is number based, or that data can be easily be converted into numbers. Yesterday lecture was all totally on my quantitative analysis data, so I have told you, but just for reminding, What is quantitative data analysis? It is a typical work with algorithm, mathematical analysis tools, and software to gain insight from data, answering questions such as how many, how often, how much. So data for quantitative analysis is usually gotten from avenues like survey, questionnaire, polls, etc. So it can also come from sales figure, email through rates, number of website visitors, and percentage. So data preparation step for quantitative data analysis, what is? First, it has to gathered and clean before proceeding to the stage of analyzing. And to prepare a data for quantitative analysis simply means to convert it to meaningful and readable format. So some steps for quantitative data analysis. Number one, data validation. This is to evaluate if data was collected correctly through the required channel, and to certain if it meet the set out standard stated from the onset. And this can be done by checking if the procedure was allowed, making sure that respondents were chosen based on the research criteria. So this is a data validation. And the second step is data editing. The large database may include error where fields may be filled incorrectly or left empty accidentally. So to avoid having faulty analysis, data check should be done to identify and clear out anything may lead to an inaccurate result. This is a data editing. Now come to the data coding. This data coding involve grouping and assigning value to data. It means forming tables and structure to represent the data accurately. So now I think you are familiar with the quantitative data analysis and some methods for quantitative data analysis technique. It involve This quantitative data analysis involve the uses of computational and statistical method, and the focus on statistical, mathematical, numerical analysis. And it start from the descriptive statistical phase, and it is followed by with the closure analysis, if needed to derive more insight, much as correlation and the production of classification. It is all based on descriptive statistical analysis. So this is a this is a quantitative. Now I'll give you some new term, not exactly new term, it is on your units. This is a that is descriptive or inferential statistic. This descriptive statistic is a name as used to describe a database, and it helps the understand the detail of your data by summarizing it and finding pattern from the specific data. And also they provide absolute number gotten from a sample, but do not necessarily explain the rationale behind the number, and are mostly used for analyzing single variable. In descriptive statistics, some methods like means, median, mode, percentage, frequency, range, standard deviations, skewness. These are the methods. Now come to the next slide. This is a analysis of quantitative data analysis. Uh, in analysis of quantitative data analysis include univariate, bivariate, multivariate, and use of computer. Now come to the univariate analysis. Uh, Univariate analysis is the most easiest method of quantitative data analysis. As name univariate suggest uni meaning one, in Univariate analysis, there is only one dependent variable and it is used to test the hypothesis and draw inference. And the objective to derive data, describe and summarize, and also analyze the pattern in it. So, uh, in a set of data, the univariate analysis explore each variable separately and also analyze the range and central tendency of values, and also it describe the pattern of response towards the variable. A variable is a condition or a category that data falls under. For example, the analysis may be looking into variable of age or weight of demography. It takes one variable into concern at a time, either age or weight. So, in a set of data, the univariate analysis explored the variables separately and it analyzed the range and central tendency of various describe and pattern of responses and variables. So the uni this pattern, I mean to say univariate pattern, can be discussed in central tendency. In central tendency includes mean, mode, median. Dispersion. Dispersion means that is range or variation. Quartiles, in quartiles range, and standard deviation. So it can be described by bar chart, pie chart, histogram, frequency distribution table, frequency polygon. It will, I will tell you later on my other slides. Now come to the bivariate. Bivariate, as named, suggests there are two variables wherein the analysis is related to cause and the relationship between two variables. For example, point scored by the winning team in the Bowl from 1960 to 2010. And another one is a multivariate. Multivariate analytical technique represent a variety of mathematical models used to measure and quantify outcomes, taking into an account to important factors. It can be influence this relation. So there are several multivariate analytical technique that one can use to examine the relationship among variables. So the most popular is multiple regression analysis, which help one understand how the typical value of dependent variable changes and where any one of the independent variable is varied while the other independent variable are held to fixed. So this is a multivariate analysis. I would like to tell you one more thing for multivariate analysis. It involves three or more variable, as I told you. Like for example, when a web developer want to examine the click and conversation rates of four different web pages among men and women, the relationship between the variables, it can be measured through the multivariate variable. Now come to the next use of computer in data processing and tabulation. Will tell you later on. Now come to the qualitative data analysis. I think I have told you yesterday, so no need to explain here. Now come to the, this is also I have explained. This is a type of quantitative data analysis. Type of quantitative data analysis have parametric and non-parametric. And parametric analysis, you can say it is a ratio scale. Wait a minute. Okay. Parametric data analysis are obtained by applying interval or ratio scale of measurement, and is score of test of ability, achievement, attitude, interest, values, personality, etc. So these are the examples of interval scales. And non-parametric is either counted or ranked. uh, we can use in a nominal scale. So it is defined as a characteristic, like we may categorize in a group as a small female student of a particular level of school, college, universities. So these are the non-parametric. Now come to the data processing and analysis of quantitative. It is the data are collected and research at turn focus of attention of processing, and this is a we will discuss on later on. This is a example in spreadsheet, excel sheet. You can see. Now come to the coding of data. Coding of data is a like a symbol, and in research methodology, coding of data is a very preliminary step to analyze any data. And data is obtained from survey experiment or secondary sources are in raw form. So the data needs to refine and organize and evaluate and draw a conclusion. Now, before going to coding of data, I would like to tell you what is code. What is code in research methodology? It is a short word, and it describes the meaning and context of the whole sentence or phrase or paragraph. And code makes the process of data analysis very easier. And numerical quantities can be assigned to mm, code, and thus these quantitative can be interpreted. So code is a kind of symbol, everyone know, as a layman we all know. But data coding is a process of deriving codes from the observed data. And in qualitative research, the data is either from observation or interview or any questionnaire. So the purpose of coding data is to bring out the essence of and meaning of the data that is respondent have provided. So data code uh, extract preliminary code from uh, the observed data, and the preliminary codes are further filtered and refined to obtain more accurate, precise, and concise codes. So the evaluation of data, the researcher assign values, percentage, numerical quantities to these code to draw inference. And should be kept in mind that purpose of data coding is not to just eliminate excessive data but to summarize it very meaningfully. So it is very important. I can give you one example for about dating coding. I prefer to shop from store to provide a large inventory of the same product and every brand and every style in that product range. So usually these stores you get maximum range of product, and you want to purchase, you get profit through deals and sales. So data coder as assigned differ codes to what the respondent narrated above. So the code might be preference for horizontal market or horizontal integration or shopping preference. So if we talk about coding of data, you should all know what is preliminary codes and what is final code. When data coder assign code to observe data, cannot manage to assign well codes in the first instant. Suppose he or she has to assign some preliminary code, and first to that the data had become concise. Then later on, refine the code to get final codes. And it must kept in mind, codes are not the final word or phrase on the basis of which evaluation will be made. Now the final code will help you observe and better pattern in this data, and the pattern is necessary to reach the final evaluation or analysis of data. And this final code in data coding means finding out very meaningful words and frame from the observed data. And one another thing is category. The codes are given names, they are put in category, and these category help the research a lot. So when data is coded again and again, it get refined. Now come to the next slide. Same as what I have said to you. This is a what is data coding, I have told you. This is also an example. This is also preparing a master chart. Preparing a master chart requires some needs like data screening, data coding, data entry, data cleaning, and data organization. Now, we'll tell you a little bit. Master chart is a process of categorization according to with objectives and hypothesis. So this is a master chart. Now come to the analysis of quantitative data. I think I have told you all the things. Now this table show univariate, which I have discussed, bivariate, and this is an example. Now trivariate, it is a method to random variable are transformed to in rank uniform domain in order to form a copula function of applying cumulative distribution function. And now come to the multivariate. This is also I have explained. Use of computer in data processing and tabulation. So many steps. Entering data either in SPSS or selection of procedure from menus, variables for analysis and examination of output. These things I think everyone know. Now come to the descriptive analysis. This is also I have described. But one thing I would like to tell you in a descriptive analysis, tabulation. Tabulation is defined as a process of placing classify into the tabular form, and table is a systematic arrangement of statistical information in rows and column, and the row of a table are horizontal arrangement of data where the columns where the columns of tables are vertical arrangement. So now I will tell you a little bit tabulation, and the data must be tabled in order like size, importance, chronological order, alphabetical order, geographical order, and if the percentage or average are compared, they should be placed as a closed possible. No table should be very large. If you make table very large, it is very difficult to interpret your data, because most people find a vertical arrangement better than horizontal one because it is easier to scan the data from the top to bottom, and footnote may be given where necessary, providing explanatory notes or additional information when you make that table. And in case of quantitative variables, the variable can be divided into class intervals with frequency mentioned each, or group interval, and frequency will include all persons having the value of attribute which fall within the calculating class interval. But how to calculate class interval? First, calculate class interval from highest to lower and divide range into sub ranges, that is known as class interval or group interval. and the frequency is also counted and noted against the class interval. This is the for tabulation, even rules for making a frequency distribution table. So in tables we should make charts and diagram, because the purpose of data presentation through charts and diagram is to have a quick visual impression, so readers can easily understand visual presentation, since these have a striking visual impact. So table tend to be little bit boring and difficult to perceive, and graphical representation convey the essence of statistical data. Now come to the next slide. This is a tabulation and organization of quantitative data. And now come to this example. I will I would like to explain. This table shows there are 98, 97, 95, and there are 85 and so on. For our convenience, we can arrange data in column as is shown in this table and in one column, and we can arrange marks in the class interval. So this is a example. Now to second table, this is a frequency distribution, and we have marked a tally against the corresponding class intervals. And the first score 57, it is represented by tally placed against the class interval in 56 to 60. The second is score of 60 by a tally marks against the class interval 50 to 60. These are the example, and it will be noted that interval 50 to 60 take care of all scores from 60 up 56 up to 60. So now come to the my next slide, cumulative frequency distribution. In statistic, in research, frequency distribution is a uh, defined as a total of frequency that are distributed all over different class intervals. So the cumulative frequency is a total of frequency, and in which the frequency of first class interval is added to frequency of second class interval, and then sum is added to frequency of third class interval, and so on. And some type, I will tell you some type of frequency, how many type of frequency cumulative frequency distribution. Less than cumulative frequency distribution, this is one category. It is obtained by adding successively by frequency of all previous classes along with the class against which is in written. At this type, the cumulate begin from the lowest to highest. Greater than cumulative frequency is a second category. It is a also known as more than type cumulative frequency, because greater than cumulative frequency is obtained by determining the cumulative total frequency and start from the highest to lowest. One is also, I would like to tell you, graphical presentation of less than or more than cumulative frequency. So it is a step to construct then cumulative frequency. One is mark the upper limit on the horizontal axis or x-axis, and mark the cumulative frequency on the vertical y-axis. Plot the points like x and y, coordinate plans where x represent upper value, where y present as a cumulative value, and then you point to point join and draw the smooth curve. This is a all cumulative frequency distribution. Now come to the next discussed you. Now come to the graphical presentation. Graphical presentation have three type: histogram, frequency polygon, and cumulative percentage curve. Now come to the histogram. This is a histogram diagram, but I would like to tell you a little bit histogram. These are all in statistical research comes. Histogram is a graphical representation of the distribution of any data and the data, the graph represent the set of rectangles adjacent to each other, where each bar represent a kind of data, and it is a stream of mathematics and applied in the various fields. So how to create histogram for given data, different type of histogram, and so many kind of uh, so many kind of diagram in histogram. So it is a graphical representation of group frequency distribution with the continuous classes, and it is an area diagram, and it can be defined as a set of rectangle. And but the question is how to plot. You can see this diagram by begin by marking the class interval on the x-axis and y-axis, and a scale for both x's have to be the same. So class interval need to be exclusive, and draw rectangle need to be with basis of class interval and corresponding frequency as height. And the height of each rectangle is proportional to corresponding class frequency, and if class interval are equal. So there are every individual rectangle is proportional. Now, one question is also in my mind: when to use histogram? If the data is should be numerical, then you can use histogram, and histogram is checked to shape the data distribution, and also this used to whether the process change from one period to another, and also determine whether output is different when it involved two or more processes. Also, when histogram is used, it used to analyze whether the given process meet the customer requirement. So this is a histogram. One another graph is also bar. And how is different from bar? Histogram is two dimensional and bar is one dimensional figure. The frequency of histogram is shown by area of each rectangle, but in bar graph, the height shows the frequency and the width has no significance, no use. In histogram graph, show rectangle touching each other. You can see, but in bar diagram, all rectangles are separated each other. So this is about histogram, and this is a step. Now, frequency polygon. What is frequency polygon graph? It is drawn by plotting the midpoint of class interval at the height, and it is almost identical and used to compare set of data or display cumulative frequency distribution, and also use line graph to represent quantitative data, because the statistical data with the collection of data and uniformation of no information of a particular purpose, the tabulation of each run for each ball in cricket gives the statistic game. Now the step of uh, frequency polygon. First you have to choose the class interval and mark the values of horizontal axis. Then mark the mid value of each interval on the horizontal axis. Then mark the frequency of class on the vertical axis, and then corresponding the frequency of each class interval, mark point as the height in the middle of the class. Then connect all points using line segments and obtain your represent frequency polygon. You can see in my PPT. Then come to the analysis of quantitative data. This I have told you. Yes, I have told you. Now, this is also I have yesterday told you. Yesterday I have explained all the things. Same as now come to the median. Median is how to calculate your data. It is a, as a name suggests, it is a middle number in a sorted ascending or descending list of number, and it can be descriptive of the data set, the average. So you can say it is a middle number in a sorted list of number. So to determine the median value in a sequence of number, and the number must be sorted or arranged in value order from low to high or high to low. So median can be used to determine approximate average or mean, but it is not to be confused with the actual mean. If there is a odd amount of number, the median value is the number in the middle with the same amount of number below and above. If there is even amount of number in the list, the middle pair must be determined, added together, divided by 2 and find the median value. I will give you one example. The to find median value in a list with odd amount of number. So one would find the number that is in the middle with the uh, equal number of or either side of median. So to find out how to calculate. So you calculate by uh, like this example, when the number of a score is even. This is a formula. You can, this is a 10 numbers, and this is a formula. Then you can score, find the value of median. This is another formula. Now come to the mode. Mode is also a statistical tool for for uh, research analysis, and it is a repeatedly occurring in a given set. So we can also say a value or number in a data set which has high frequency or appears more frequency is called mode. So it is defined as a value that has to higher frequency is in a given set of values, it is appear uh, most number of times. So it for this purpose, so many charts like graph, pie chart, bar chart, pictorial representation we use by mode. And there are two or three type of mode: bimodal, trimodal, and multimodal. But this is not in your course, so will not tell you. Now come to the mode of ungrouped data and mode of group data. Mode of group data is a very simple ungrouped data like 7, 8, 9, 9, 10, 11. And mode of group data is a when group of data into frequency distribution, the crude and empirical data is usually taken to midpoint, which contain the larger frequency. Now this is a calculated by formula, frequency distribution formula. Now this is also the same thing, elaborated thing. Now come to the inferential statistic. This is your third unit. It is our used from the, this is a measurement from the sample of object in the experiment to compare the larger treatment groups, and the make generalization about the larger population of the subject. So there are many inferential statistics, and each is appropriate for a specific research design. So now it has two category: parametric and non-parametric. Parametric tests are those that assume same sample data come from the population and that follow a probability distribution, that is the normal distribution. This with fixed with the parameter, And common parameter matrix tests are focused on analyzing and comparing the middle or variance 1. Next slide. This is a uh, this is a parameter test cover 3 tests: Z test, T test, and F test. Now this is a short break. I'll come back after 10 minutes.
All right, dog.
Welcome back.
Thank you, dog.
I'm sharing again my PPT. Is it visible?
Yeah, it's visible.
Okay.
Yes, it's visible. Please.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
Now come to the. This is a, yeah. We'll tell you later on, but I have to tell you first this sample distribution of means. It is a mean of population from where the items are sampled. And if the population distribution is normal, then the sampling distribution of mean is like to sample of all size. This is a uh, this formula you can see. It is a standard deviation formula, and sampling distribution, in sampling distribution it is very important. Standard deviation is very important because the mid value in the item arranged in the some chronological order and draw a samples. And one thing I would like to tell you, if the population is large, approximately by the normal distribution, with means, so the standard deviation is the mean of random sizes of size, and n is a distributed with mean. And what standard deviation you can calculate. Now come to the next slide. This is a confidence level and level of significance. This is a two things, and you can estimate plus and minus variation in that minus the variation in the that estimate. So it is a range of value you expect your estimate to fall down between you do or redo your test. And the next is the level of significance. It is defined by fixed probability of wrong elimination of null hypothesis when in fact it is true. So the level of significance is stated to be probability of type 1 error, and it is preset of the researcher with the outcome. So this is a uh, confidence level and level of significance. Now come to the next slide. Sample, small sample. What is a small sample? Sample is denoted by n or sigma m. It is a small sample, and for sample example, the sampling distribution are T, F, X2. So study of sampling distribution for a small amount of sample. If you collect a data in a small, you can use this formula. Now the degree of freedom. Wait a minute. Pani. ओके, बोलते रहो. हाँ, नहीं मैं करती हूँ. So now come to the our next slide. Degree of freedom. Degree of freedom is a term that as a statistician used to describe the degree of independence in statistical data. So the degree of freedom can be thought as a number of variables, and there is a in the two formula may be seen very little, and if n is sufficiently large, but there is a very important difference in the meaning in case of a small sample. So when you have a 1 degree, there is one variable, it can be freely changed without affecting the value for any other variable. But as a data scientist, it is important to understand the concept of degree of freedom, because it can help you to better understand your data and how to analyze your data. So this is a on another hand, it is a number of variables that are free to vary in a statistical setting. You can say in another word, it is the number of independent observation or measurement, or it can made in order to calculate some statistical such as mean, mode, median, standard deviation, chi-square, t-test in one sample test also. So the higher degree of freedom for any given statistical calculation, the more accurate and reliable, and it will be because there are more variable available to account for possible error. So I can say the one in a box, 5 item, and all item is exactly around 4 kg, like 4 kg, 2.5 kg, 3.5 kg, 1 kg. These are calculated to add, then it is a 4 kg item in your box weighing. So there are 5 item in box with the 4 degree of freedom. So this means the only 4 item are free to vary in term of weight, because the weight of fifth item must be equal to difference between 12 kg and sum of 4 item, and thus the four things can carry in the term of weight. So this is a degree of freedom. Now come to the next parametric state. This is a parametric state is Z test, T test, and F test. Z test is a any statistical test for which the distribution of test statistic under the null hypothesis, it can be approximated by a normal distribution. And Z test means for each significance level in the confidence level, and the Z test had a single critical value. For example, 1.96 for 5% two-tailed. So which makes the convenient for the student t-test, those critical value are defined by the sample size. So z-test and also t-test is the similarity in that they both help the determine to significant of set data. So this is a z-test. Now t-test. T-test is a very important in research, even research proposal. So t-test is used in a when you compare the means in two groups like pairwise or comparison. If you compare anything, if you pair anything, you can use the t-test. And if you want to multiply multiple pairwise or comparison, you can use innova test or post hoc test. So t-test is a parametric test, and parametric test of difference, making that it make the same assumption about your data as other parameters. So t-test assume your data should be independent, normally distributed, and have a similar amount of variation like homogeneity or variance. So if your data do not fit these assumptions, you can try non-parametric alternatives to the t-test. So one another test, like one test is Wilcoxon test. You can use it also in non-parametric alternative. Now the question, what type of t-test should I use? Because so many tests, and students and some researchers are very confused ki how can we use so many tests like Z test, T test, significant. So when using a T test, you will need to consider two things. As I told, the groups being compared comes from a single population or two different population, and whether you want to test as the difference in the specific direction. One sample, two sample, or paired T test. If you have one sample, if you have two sample, if you have paired sample, should I use t-test? Means if the group come from the single population, like measuring before and after experimental, perform pair t-test. This could be valid. And if the group come from the two different population, like two different species, like two different separate cities, perform two simple t-test or independent test. And if one group being compared against standard value, perform one sample test. So this is about all t-test. Now come to the F test. It is used by researcher to carry out the research for the equality of two population variants. And hello, I'll call you back. Wait a minute. So this is a F test. Now come to the factor analysis. Factor analysis is a procedure. You can say uh, it construct is a trait or attribute that explains some phenomena like anxiety, intelligence, motivation, attitude. These are comes in the factor analysis. Variables are generated and called factor, and it is initiated from correlation matrix uh, of variable and variable which are highly correlated group. Now come to the non-parametric test. I have told you, explain in my earlier slides. Now come to the reporting research. This is very important for your dissertation because by this research report are recorded data prepared by a researcher, a statistician after analyzing the information, gathering by conducting, organizing research, typically in form of survey, qualitative methods. So research report is reliable source to recount details about a uh, about a about a conducted research. Now these are the topics. Why and how to write a research report will tell you. Next slide. This is all steps how to write your research. Beginning में you have a cover page, title page, second cover, acknowledgement, content, list of table. Then main body you have to write introduction, review of literature, design of the study, what is analysis and interpretation of data, what findings and conclusion summary. The end is bibliography and references. This is a beginning. Beginning, you know, this is a cover page which I have show you in my prior slide. Then cover a title page, what is in your written title of the topic, relationship of the report to degree, course, organization, requirement, name of the researcher, name of the supervisor, name of the institutions. This should be needed. Now come to the preface and acknowledgement. Preface, everyone know, I think it is a serve as a place within the thesis where a student can provide a brief statement as its nature and extent of his or her contribution to any collaborative that has been included in thesis. And in preface you may explain history, scope of research, methodology, researcher opinion about the research. Now table of content. It is all indicate what you have done in research. So all tables like chapters, all division should be in come into table content. Now this is a example you can see. Now come to the glossary. It is a short dictionary explaining all technical items. Means it is a collection of words pertaining to a specific topic about your thesis, about your dissertation. It is a list of your term you may not immediately be obvious of your to your reader. So all needs in grocery, your grocery all needs to include in term of indication. So your reader may not be familiar with it's intended to enhance their understanding of your work. So groceries are not mandatory, but if you use a lot of technical or some specific terms, it may be prove uh, readability to add one. So if you choose to include glossary, it should go at the beginning of your document, just after table of content. So table of content and list of table and figures, list of abbreviation, it's all help to place your glossary at the beginning, so your reader can familiarize them and with key term. So this is all. Now the list of abbreviation, all everyone know how to do. These are the main bodies, and these things makes your dissertation very strong and impressive. This is a main body: how to write introduction, review of literature, design of the study, analysis and interpretation of data, major findings. And this is writing style, how to write. And this is a reference. As everyone know, it is a list contains source you have cited in your assignment. One is bibliography is a list of source you use to generate your ideas about the topic, including those cited in your assignment as well as those you did not cite. So this is a references. Now typing and production, all you know what research report, project report, etc. These are the very simple things. Now come to the bibliography. I think I have told you what is the difference. But I will tell you a little bit. Everybody make a research report, so appendix in a supplementary document, and your reader understand how to what is your research, but it is essential to your core argument. So appendix are useful tool for providing your additional information. And last is bibliography, and references is a what you have done by books, by reports, by articles. You have to mention where all data like review of literature, introduction, and related studies. So you have to mention in bibliography and references. This is appendix. Appendix is help you to provide more background information and nuance. So these are all. Thank you. Now you can ask any question if you have. Okay, analysis of variance. Okay. ANOVA. This is a statistical tool, and if you know the wait. ANOVA is a analysis of variance. It means it is a as all formulas is it is also a statistical formula and used to compare variance across the mean or average of different groups. So the range of scenario used to determine if there is any difference between the mean of different groups is called ANOVA. And like I'll give you one example. To study effectiveness of different diabetes medication, scientists design an experiment to explore the relationship between the type of medicine and the resulting blood sugar. So the sample population is set of people, and we decide the sample population into multiple groups. And each group receives particular medicine for trial methods. So at the end of trial method, blood sugar level are measured for each of an individual participant. So for each group, the mean blood sugar level is calculated. So ANOVA help to compare these groups means to find out if they are statistically different or if they are similar. So basically, it is used to compare variance across the means with different groups. Now, okay. Moses asked, shed more light on qualitative data analysis and the quantitative. Okay. What is qualitative data analysis? Qualitative data analysis is, you can say, it is used to understand people's belief, experience, attitude, behavior, and interactions. You cannot calculate your belief, your attitude, your behavior. It is a non-numerical data, and the integration of qualitative research into intervention studies research strategy that is gaining increased attention across the discipline. So three broad categories of qualitative research of interest exist in clinical research: observational studies, interview studies, documentary textual analysis. So this is a qualitative. Now come to the quantitative. Quantitative data analysis is a means you can count with numbers. You can will express in number and graphs. It is used to test or confirm theories and assumptions, and it include in quantitative analysis include experiment, observation, numbers, survey with closed-ended questions. So it is at risk for researcher bias, including information bias, omitted variables, sampling bias. So, so difference is qualitative research is expressed in words used to understand concept, thought, experiences, and this type of research you gather the in-depth side uh, and use the and both method use the different research method to collect and data analysis. They focus on exploring ideas and formulating a theory and hypothesis is qualitative. But in quantitative data research, it focus on testing hypotheses and theories. Even in qualitative data, analyze by summarize, categorize, and interpreting the data. But in quantitative, only you can analyze the data through mathematical or statistical analysis. And as you know, it is an express word, and it quantitative research is expressed by numbers, graphs, tables, and it in quantitative research we need respondent, many respondent, but not in very few respondent we need in qualitative. So in key terms like testing, measurement, objectivity, replicability is comes in under quantitative, but understanding context, complexity, subjectivity is also is a in qualitative data. SPSS and please comment on various software that we can use to analyze our data, whether SPSS or Stata. Actually, this is not in your course, but I will tell you little bit. You can use in your report writing SPSS or Innova or Stata. Give you some shades about SPSS, statistical package knowledge. This comes in quantitative when you SPSS is very important nowadays. It is powerful solution. It propel analysis in numerous industries and also used in education market. But how SPSS data analyze? It is very difficult to get you here by virtual because we need chalk and dusters. So not possible to hear. How I frequency? Okay, frequency polygon. Frequency polygon is a line graph. As I told you, it is plotted against the class midpoint and it is obtained by the joining the midpoint of the top of the rectangle in the histogram. It is a mix, it is a combination of histogram and it is a, you can say a histogram frequency have a set of rectangles, and when you rectangles uh, got, make a plots, then you can say it is a frequency polygon. And sometimes frequencies are represented not by lines but rather by bars, so it can be also say, you can say frequency polygon. uh, it is a plot the frequency of different data values and connect to plots point and a straight line is frequency polygon. Any another questions? Any questions? These are all common research methods and very important for every person. Either in a research area or making projects or any industry. And you should read more in, not in your study material, you can read some other reference book. It is very important. Thematic content analysis. One question is, I can see thematic content analysis in quality. I'm not getting your question, Moses. Please clarify or explain what are you trying to ask?
Yes, thank you so much, Doctor, for your presentation. My question is about the different methods used in qualitative data analysis, and so I have understood that we have content and then thematic analysis as a part of the data analysis methods under qualitative data analysis. So I wanted you to shed more light if perhaps actually you have some understanding on the thematic and then the content analysis. You could actually throw some light, because I know when you're undertaking a mixed study, perhaps you would want to actually do an analysis, of course, using the thematic and then the content. So if you have some understanding, maybe you could help us understand more, so that maybe when we're doing our dissertation, we have collected our data, especially for the qualitative part, we can actually ably use the thematic analysis, or perhaps also use the content analysis. Thank you.
Okay. Content analysis is a research method, and it is a qualitative, and to conduct content analysis you systematically collect the data from set of text which can be written, oral, visual, book, newspaper, anything can be. uh, so content analysis can be quantitative and qualitative. Quantitative means focused on counting and measuring, and qualitative means focus on interpreting and understanding. So both time you can categorize or code words, themes and concept with the text and realize the result. So researcher used to find this content analysis is about the purpose, message and effect of communication content. So content analysis can be used to quantify the occurrence of certain word, phrase, subjects, concepts in the set of historical or contemporary text. So, in a qualitative content analysis, I can give you one example to gain more qualitative understanding of employment issue in political campaign. You could locate the word unemployment in speeches, identify what other word phrases appeared next to, such as economy, inequality, laziness, and analyze the meaning these relationships to better understand the intention of target of target of different campaigns. So, uh, in anthropology, sociology, social sciences, have some various goals like finding correlations, and pattern is one goal. How concepts are communicated. Then second goal is understanding the intention of an individual, group, or institutions, and also revealing different communication in different contexts is another goal. So what is the advantage of content analysis? One is unobtrusive data collection, means you can analyze communication and social interaction without the direct involvement of participant. So your presence as a researcher does not influence the result. And second one is transparent and replicable. When everything done well, content analysis follows systematic procedure because it is easily be replicated by other researcher, yielding result the high reliability. Even one another property, high flexible. You can conduct content analysis at any time, in any location, or any low cost. All you need to access the appropriate sources. Now come to the thematic. Thematic is a uh, beginner is as a beginner researcher is very difficult. If you do not study very deep, you cannot do thematic analysis. Thematic analysis is one of the most common form of analysis within the qualitative research, and it also emphasize identify, analyze, interpreting pattern of meaning within the qualitative data. But how to do the thematic analysis? Because it comes in the qualitative data analysis, also involve reading through the data like transcript from the depth interviews, focus interviewed, and identifying pattern in meaning across the data to derive theme. So it is widely used in field of psychology as well as some other fields. So in psychology, it can also used in a variety of social sciences field. And when I the question when I should do the thematic analysis. Number one, if you want to do identify pattern in data, and also a new qualitative analysis, and you want to involve research participant in the analysis of process of data, process and analysis process, so you can do thematic analysis. Thematic and sorry, my network gone. Hope so you getting and you got my all the lectures. Now any more query you can ask. We have more time. If you have any question, you can ask. Today we have more time. Okay. This is the last lecture from my side, and I have taught you all research area. So any question from any part of research, you can freely to ask me. I'll try to give your answer. Yeah,
Yes, doctor.
my
Can I?
yeah.
Yes, doctor. This is Ojok again. I would like to know because we have been given assignment which we are meant to submit by 31st of March. But from your side, we would like to understand because when we are doing this assignment, we shall have to do some research out of actually the notes that you provided to us. So um, do we do our research and then in our work we can provide references in terms of the in-text quotation for the data that we have actually got from out of the notes that you provided to us? Because we know we may not actually only rely on the notes that you provided to us in our LMS, and of course the ones that you will be providing us in terms of the PowerPoint presentation. So we'd like to know if we can actually do research outside the two notes that I have highlighted, and then be able actually to do in-text quotation and references to avoid the issues of plagiarism, which I believe ignore strongly actually discourages. Thank you, and over.
Okay. Actually, I think you talk about your. I'm not getting my internet is weak, so you are not very much. Your voice is blurring. So I'm not getting what you have said. Kindly write on your chat box. My your voice is blurring that time when you talk. Mr. Ojok, you can write a question what you have asked me because I'm not able to get your voice. I think you can ask your center. It's not a part of my side. I'm just your academic counselor. So I had no idea about these things. Yes, I can guess ki you can do, but the material should be as whatever you do, material should be like whatever in your study material, not from outside the syllabus. You cannot do. You can do a research from outside, but study material and outside material will be same. And research you have to do from outside, I think, only in the research related work. No, it does not mean the you can use the any material apart from the ones given. So please, actually, the material from outside or your study material will be the same. So you can use by either for IGNU material or from outside material, but material will be the same. Okay, okay. I think I have expressed all the things and no any question from your side. And it's a victory for me. Yeah, I can got you all the units and block. About your material, about your process of uh, process of writing, reading. You better to ask your regional centers by mail or by phone. I'm just your academic counselor, not a part of, not an employee of that center. So you all the queries, confusions asked by your research centers. The lecture from my side has ended. And if you have any query, you can ask. We have some 10 to 15 minutes time.